What's going on, everybody? My name's Brian. Welcome back to the Hearing Club. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing great. One of the most asked questions I get where I work, even if I'm not at work, just talking to friends about hearing aids, is what are custom hearing aids? What are custom molds? What is the difference between using hearing aids like this that have a rubber dome on the end and hearing aids that look like this that have a custom mold? Or custom hearing aids. What are these called? Why do people use them? They're so big. Do they serve a purpose? Are they any better than these hearing aids that go behind your ear? Like, what's the deal? Well, folks, that's where I come in. We're going to talk about all that. So, are you guys ready? Let's get started. So first, let's go over the what. This is a custom hearing aid. And this is a custom mold. And these custom products, the hearing aid and the mold, both are made by taking an exact mold of your ear called an ear impression. What happens is you set up an appointment for impressions. This is how we make the hearing aid or the mold. You go into the office, we fill your ear up with impression material, and this is usually the part where the spouse, if he's a funny guy like me, will pull out his phone and take a picture of his wife with a big giant pink glob of silicone in her ear so we could share it to all the family friends. The impression material is basically a two-part food grade silicone that you have to mix together. Once mixed together, we load it into a syringe and then we inject the material deep into your ear canal. We wait for the impression material to cure after about 5 or 6 minutes. It'll harden up into basically a piece of rubber or a rubber mold, and then we slowly pull it out of your ear, and out comes a perfect mold or impression of the inside of your ear. We then fill out a form with the exact properties and features that we're looking for the mold, and then we send that to the manufacturer, and they send us a perfectly shaped, custom fit mold or hearing aid. That's how they get made. And in other videos, we can get into more detail about the different types of hearing aids. But today I just want to focus on one thing, and that is the two custom products, custom hearing aids and custom molds for your existing hearing aids. Now that we know how the customs are made, let's talk about the differences. This custom hearing aid, I want you to think of this custom hearing aid like one of these. It's the hearing aid, the battery, the receiver, and the mold. Everything is all built into one package, and it comes out looking like this. The sizes range from really small, like an invisible In The Canal hearing aid, and they go all the way up to a full shell, like this hearing aid right here. This is considered a full shell. It is the largest version of the custom hearing aids. This is the entire hearing aid. There's nothing that goes behind your ear. Everything is contained into this one package. Now, a custom mold is different. The custom mold fits on an existing behind the ear or RIC hearing aid. And a quick note on the custom molds is there's all different types of custom molds. And I know I keep saying this, and I'm probably going to keep saying this, but we will cover the different types of molds when different ones are appropriate in a future video, I promise you. But for this one, I'm just trying to keep it simple and give you guys the basics. So you can have short, solid acrylic custom mold. You can have hollowed out custom molds. You can have really small custom molds that just fit in your canal. You can have a mold that has a canal lock that helps with retention, keeping the hearing aid in. You can have a hollow acrylic mold. You can have a solid acrylic mold. You can have a skeleton lock where it goes up into the helix if you have, issues keeping the molds of the hearing aids in. There are all kinds. They also come in different colors. You can have clear, you can have opaque, you can have a glossy shine to it. You can have a skin tone or beige molds. You can have molds with swirls, with glitter, all kinds of different molds for kids, for adults, whatever you want. You can customize it, hence the name custom mold. Okay, so now that we understand the difference between a custom mold and a custom hearing aid, remember, Custom hearing aid, this is the entire hearing aid, everything built into one. A custom mold is just the tip for a hearing aid. That is the difference between these two products. Actual hearing aid, just a tip for the hearing aid. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the RIC hearing aid, probably the most popular hearing aid because it will be relevant for the rest of the video. So let's talk about that. Okay, so one of the main reasons I'm using an RIC, again, which stands for receiver in the canal. This is your receiver. It's actually a speaker, and this is where all the sound comes out of. So this receiver or speaker is inside your canal, hence receiver in the canal, RIC. These are very popular. If you have a hearing test appointment and you walk into the office, chances are they're gonna try to fit you with an RIC. Why? Because an RIC, we can fit you and we can sell you that hearing aid in the same day, same appointment, as long as they have them in stock. They're super easy to fit. There's nothing custom about it. You're probably asking, well, how does one hearing aid fit, anybody and everybody? How do you get it out that same day? Because there's different rubber domes. And these rubber domes can accommodate all types of hearing losses and all types of ears. We have small domes, we have big domes, we have closed, we have open, and we just figure out which one's gonna work best with you. And you can walk out of that office with the hearing aid the same day. That's the beauty of the RIC hearing aids. That is why they're so popular. For example, these are my Jabra hearing aids, and I use these medium-sized open domes, and I have no issues with them. They work fine for me. They're comfortable. I don't even know my hearing aid is in there. But not everybody is built the same. Not everybody has the same type of ears. I know that goes without saying. And that is where the custom mold comes in and saves the day. We take off this piece of rubber and we put on a custom mold that is made for you. And you may be asking, well, why don't we see more of these? How come everybody's wearing these open domes and closed domes? And why don't we see more of these custom molds? And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, that's what the Hearing Club's all about. That's why I made this channel, to expose all the things that are going on, the insanely marked up hearing aids where, people are spending $10,000. Don't even get me started. I'm out here trying to do God's work. And I'll tell you why we don't see a lot of these custom molds and people are moving towards the RICs with the domes. Because people are lazy. Not you guys, the fitters. And any of you fitters that are watching these videos for whatever reason, you're probably sitting there nodding your head. Yep. We just don't want to do it. It takes time. We got to go rooting around in somebody's ear canal and it's invasive. You have to stick a piece of cotton really far deep down in there. You have to make an impression. You could hurt somebody. It takes extra time. It costs money. We have to send out the impression. We have to wait for them to send the hearing aid back. And guess what? When you get the hearing aid back or the custom mold and it doesn't fit right, you got to do the whole process over again, and it sucks. But you have to do it. And more often than not, I make impressions and I get these people custom molds because it's going to significantly help. Let me tell you a quick story, okay? I worked at Beltone and I was selling people $8,000 to $10,000 hearing aids. I'm not kidding. The same hearing aids that they sell at Costco. $10,000 for the premium Imagine 17s, the Achieve 17s, whatever, okay? And when I worked for Beltone, I would get paid half up front when I sold the hearing aid after the paperwork was signed, and then I would get paid my other half when the person got past their 30 days. And if somebody brought those hearing aids back and returned them and wanted their money back, I actually lost money. So I made 20%, okay guys, I made 20%. 20% off of 10,000 is $2,000. I would get $1,000 up front when I signed the paperwork, and then I'd get my other $1,000 after they passed their 30-day trial. By the way, Costco has a 6-month trial period, which is crazy. And if somebody returned those hearing aids, I would lose $1,000. They would deduct $1,000 out of my paycheck. So guess what? I did everything that I could. Everything in my power. I went above and beyond on every single sale because I had to ensure that these people were getting the best possible fit, and I had the best possible outcome and gave them every reason possible to want to keep those hearing aids and not want to return them. And I was not going to fit them with a little piece of rubber that they have trouble getting in, that won't stay in, that you don't even know if it's in all the way half the time. You're not getting the best sound quality. And we're going to talk about all this later, but that's my story, okay, guys? I do impressions a lot. I do a lot of custom molds. I do a lot of custom hearing aids because you will not get a better fit, and I'm not lazy. I want to make sure this person's going to have the best possible fitting, and everyone else is just lazy. They don't care. So that's why we don't see a lot of them, guys. That's why most folks are just wearing the domes. It's quicker, it's easier. We can get the hearing aids sold that same day. Just takes less time. But here's the most important thing. Not everybody can or should wear these domes. Some people just need custom molds. And for most people, I believe custom molds or custom hearing aids are the way to go. Let's talk about, when should you consider custom molds or custom hearing aids? Should you get them? Would they be right for you? What are the benefits? What are the negatives? Are there any negatives to having a custom mold or custom hearing aid? Well, keep watching, because that's next. So, when are custom molds or custom hearing aids right for you? I'm glad you asked. Now, really quick, does anybody notice that the colors keep changing in the background? I wanted to see if anybody would catch that. And if so, this is no color. So what do you guys like better? The orange and blue, the blue and the pink, or just no color? Anyway, back to the question. When are custom molds right for you? I'll tell you a couple of the top reasons, and I will immediately tell somebody that they should just go with customs. Actually, we'll do a list, okay? Number one, the patient cannot physically wear these rubber domes because either their canals are too small, even with the smallest dome, and we have some really tiny ones, little 6mm domes. So the canals are too small. Maybe the canals are collapsed or super narrow, and trying to stuff this thing in there would physically hurt if the person doesn't have the best dexterity. Okay. Some folks just don't have the dexterity. They've got arthritis. They cannot really move their fingers like they used to, and there's just no way to get these tiny little domes inside these canals. And your canals aren't always straight. They curve around. There's bends. It can be crazy in there. And for some folks, it is just hard to get these in. And once you finally get them in, and some people, you will see a big wave of relief just wash over them. Oh my God, I finally got these domes in all the way. I did it. They're celebrating, and then one wrong move and it pops out a little bit. Or the hearing aid, they look over or they go to change the volume on the hearing aid, and the hearing aid's not even there because it just completely fell out somewhere along the ways. So it could be a fit issue. That is probably the number one reason I will recommend to folks they get custom molds or just go with a custom hearing aid, because of the fit issue. Another reason is these things itch. When you wear a hearing aid with the rubber dome, they can be very, very itchy. They can be very uncomfortable. And when you have a custom mold, it is a perfect fit. It's like a glove. It's made to fit in your ear. It doesn't come out. You don't run the risk of losing it or having it pop out, because we could put a canal lock, we can put a helix lock or a skeleton lock on it. We can make it so that you never have to worry about that hearing aid coming out again. Now, I have another story for you guys, and this is a quick one. I had this poor lady. I felt so bad. She called me in tears. Okay, this was recent. She called me in tears. Brian, I need to wear my hearing aids, but I cannot get them in. I've had such and such show me a different way. I've had you show me a different way. I just cannot get these in. It is driving me crazy. I'm at my wit's end. I'm never going to hear again. She was literally crying, guys, because she could not get these hearing aids in. I said, take a deep breath. Relax, we're gonna get this fixed. I'm gonna schedule you to come see me, and we're gonna make impressions. These are gonna be so much easier for you to get in. And the reason it's easier for them to get the hearing aids in, folks, is because it only goes in one way. You just push it in, you line it up, you push it in, and you will kind of feel it lock into place. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts whether it's in all the way. It's either in or it's not. And instead of trying to mess with this tiny little dome, you've got this bigger piece that is physically easier to hold on to, and it is just so much easier to get in. So having a custom mold or a custom hearing aid just solves so many of the fit issues, and getting the hearing aids in, keeping them in, getting them in all the way. Because a lot of times if you have a rubber dome and you don't have it in all the way, you're not going to be getting all that hearing. You're going to be missing out on a lot of gain. A lot of it's just going to be leaking right out of your ear, and you're just not going to hear as well. And sometimes getting it in all the way is very hard. With a custom mold or a custom hearing aid, you know that once it's in, there's nothing else you can do. It cannot move. It is always going to be in the best possible position. You're always going to get the best possible sound because it's always going to be in the right spot. I cannot count on two hands the amount of times somebody's called in and said, I'm not hearing like I was. I'm not hearing like I did when I was with Brian. I'm not hearing like I did when I first got my hearing aids fitted. And then they come into the office and the hearing aid is basically hanging off of their ear. Like the dome is not even in the canal. It's just sitting out there, not in whatsoever. And custom molds can fix all that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be people watching this video that says, no, that's not true. Custom molds are not for everybody. And you're right. I am not saying that custom molds will work for everybody. Not at all. There are definitely people that shouldn't or just can't wear custom molds, but they can fix these issues. Some people can and should. That's my point. All the different practices that I've worked at, if you order a mold or a custom hearing aid and it doesn't work, you get your money back and then you try something else. No big deal. At least you tried. Don't skip the opportunity. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least you tried. And there are some fitters that will say, no, you know what, based on the type of hearing loss you have, a custom mold or a custom hearing aid is not going to work well for you. It's going to give you a hollow sound. You're going to get too much of the occlusion effect, which just means since your ear's completely sealed up, you're going to hear your own voice more. It may sound more hollow. You may hear more of an echo when you speak. And although all this is true, if you have really good hearing in the low frequencies, we can still get you a custom mold or a custom hearing aid, and we could just put a really big vent in it so that air and sound can still go through. Because what they say is if you have really good hearing in the low frequencies, then you're going to rely on the natural hearing for those low frequencies to come in. But with a custom hearing aid, you're blocking all of that out and you're not going to get any of that natural hearing of the low frequencies in. But that's not true. You can just get a really big vent. They have special vents called IROS vents or IROS vents. They have all kinds of stuff where we can really open that up and still get you the custom fit. So don't let fitters tell you that you can't use it. Find a different fitter. But don't miss the opportunity to try something new. Okay, there's nothing wrong with trying. There is something wrong with not being given the chance to try something new. You can always try it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, get your money back. I would much rather have my patient try custom molds, actually be able to wear the hearing aids, than never be given the opportunity to try it and end up not wearing the hearing aids and not hearing. The sound may be a little bit weird. You might hear a little bit of hollowness. You might have a little bit more echo in your own voice, but at least you can hear. I always talk about benefit versus comfort. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of comfort to get the hearing aid benefit. Another reason I would give somebody or recommend that they go with a custom hearing aid or custom molds is for extra volume. As your hearing gets worse, and as your patient's hearing gets worse and your hearing gets worse, you need more volume and more volume and more volume. And the hearing aids can handle that. These RICs can handle that. We could take off this low power or medium power receiver and we can go to a high power or an ultra power receiver. But as you do that, more and more sound, since it's getting louder and louder, more and more volume, more and more gain is leaking out of that ear canal since you don't have a perfect seal. When this speaker is too loud and the sound is literally leaking out of your ear, it's going to hit the microphone. And when you have a speaker that's making sound right next to a microphone, you get something called a feedback loop, and it is a high-pitched whistling noise that drives people crazy, and nobody wants feedback. Feedback is an issue that a lot of people experience, and guess what? Custom molds and custom hearing aids fix that. Why? Because it is a perfect acoustic seal. When you have these rubber domes, even if you have an occluding or a dome that really seals up your ear canal very well, it's not doing it 100%. It's not a perfect seal. Sound is still getting around there. Sound is still leaking out. So as you need more and more volume, you're going to get feedback unless you go to a custom mold or a custom hearing aid. Another reason that I love custom molds or custom hearing aids is because these hearing aids are so advanced now. There's such great features, and one of those, especially with the Jabras, in my opinion, is the noise suppression, the background noise reduction, the noise filtering that these hearing aids can do. Philips and Oticon, same manufacturer, they do a really good job with it as well. And these hearing aids have the ability now to filter out a lot of that unwanted noise, a lot of that background noise. You can go on the Jabra app and you could just hit the noise filter button and it will reduce so much of that background noise. It is crazy. You guys have got to try it. But when you have a custom hearing aid or a custom mold, those advanced features work so much better. You can have a hearing aid that has the greatest noise filtering and greatest background noise reduction in the world. But if you're using a rubber dome, even if it's supposed to be a good seal, that background noise and that noise that you're trying to filter out is still, no matter what you do with the hearing aid, that noise is still going to get through that rubber dome and enter your ear canal. But when you have a custom hearing aid or a custom mold with that perfect seal, the background noise reduction and the noise filters are going to work so much better, because with a perfect seal, a perfect acoustical seal, none of that noise is going to get through the hearing aid. So that's another reason why I really like custom mold and hearing aids, because the advanced features such as the noise reduction just work so much better. So those are the benefits of using customs, both molds and custom hearing aids, and the reasons why you might want to try one. So if you've had any of these issues, if you're having trouble getting your hearing aids in, if you just don't have that dexterity, if you have feedback issues whenever you turn the volume up, if the rubber domes on your RIC hearing aids are uncomfortable, they're causing issues, anything that we have mentioned before, and you haven't tried a custom, go out and try one. Talk to your fitter, talk to your audiologist, talk to your ENT, and ask them if you can try custom molds, and I guarantee more likely than not, you will be satisfied and you'll have a much easier time with your hearing aids. And in the next video that's going to be coming out, I'm going to be talking about another question that I get all the time, and that is, what's the difference between the RIC hearing aids that go behind your ear that everybody's wearing and the custom hearing aids? What are some of the advantages of the customs? What are some of the disadvantages? What are some of the advantages of the RIC hearing aids? And what are some of the disadvantages, and which one would be right for you? We'll be covering all that in the next video. All right, that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you guys got some questions answered. If you got anything from this video and learned something new, don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to see more Hearing Club videos, it would be huge for me and really helps with the success of the channel. If you guys have any questions, if you have comments, leave them in the comments. I love answering questions. I love interacting with you guys. And remember, I'm going to be doing another Q&A video right after this one, where I take some of the questions from the viewers like you guys and answer them in the videos. And this next one's going to be centered around a lot of the Jabra stuff, because I did a Jabra review and a lot of people were asking questions about the Bluetooth, and some of that's going to be in the next video. So if you have questions, leave them in the comments, and one of your questions might be featured in one of the next Q&A videos. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you have any requests, let me know, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, everybody.